All right, we are going to attempt this video today. I'm really hoping that it works for you and that you can see all the way through it. If not, I'm attaching this slideshow so that you can go through each slide and it will kind of help you to understand what we're going to be working on next. We're going to be working on adding more details to our writing. So we're going to look at a mentor text first, and we're going to look and listen for the places where the author uses really good detail to make their writing more interesting. So in the slideshow, you have a copy of the text. You will have to kind of blow it up to make it big enough for you to see. By the way, on today's slideshow, you are starting with slide 16. That is today's lesson. So lessons or slide 16 for Wednesday. We are going to be reading the mentor text called Babysitting. And on the next slide, let's say if this video doesn't work out, Miss O'Brien video recorded or audio recorded herself reading the story to you. So if for some reason I don't show up, hopefully you'll click on this and listen to the story called Babysitting. But I'm going to read it for you right now. All right, so remember, as I read, you're going to be thinking and looking for those good details. Okay, these are what makes the writing stand out. Babysitting, day 16, adding details. I was sitting at the kitchen table as I ate Lucky Charms cereal and drank the sweetened milk from the bowl on the day I decided that I was not cut out for babysitting. My mom was on the phone and kept glancing at me. I could send Peter over, she said. What did you just sign me up for? I asked. I said that you could babysit the boys across the street, she replied with a smirk on her face. You'll get $10 for 30 minutes. It sounded like a good deal before I knew how long 30 minutes could feel with a couple of crazy children. The next thing I knew, I was alone at my neighbor's house with both small boys staring at me while jumping up and down as if there were a trampoline under their feet. Do you want to play Jenga or Connect Four? I asked, thinking I had this under control and could easily pass 30 minutes by playing a simple board game. Just then, both boys sprang into the air at the same time and landed right on my head, toppling me to the floor. They produced two foam swords out of nowhere and began hitting me repeatedly while making loud grunting noises. Stop, I yelled. Of course, neither boy listened. In fact, the fight only got more intense as they abandoned their foam swords for their fists and started punching me directly in the gut. Was I supposed to fight back, hold them down, or yell at them? I had no clue. All of these options seemed inappropriate for a babysitter. However, as they began kicking me in the shins, leaving bruises that my mom would notice the next day, I knew I had to find a way to stop them. So far, I'm loving all the details. If we kind of work our way backwards, I love this. It's a parenthetical phrase where they use parentheses to add like a side note of detail, leaving bruises that my mom would notice the next day. That's a good detail. I love the image that the author produces with both boys sprang into the air at the same time and landed right on my head, toppling me to the floor. I can totally picture that in my mind. I'm sure you can too. Let's see. If we go back up to the top, I love how he starts off with the setting. And I can imagine him, because this is my favorite cereal besides Cocoa Puffs. They're kind of equal in my ranking of cereals. But I can see him totally sitting there eating his Lucky Charms. He didn't just say, I sat and ate cereal. Okay, I was sitting at the kitchen table as I ate Lucky Charms cereal, and look at this, and drank the sweetened milk from the bowl on the day that I decided I was not cut out for babysitting. That's a great starter, okay? Full of detail. I can totally picture where he's at, and the details really paint an image in my head, okay? And that's what good details do. I also like the one where they produce both boys. Let's see. And then they produce like swords. I don't know where that one went. Oh, yeah. They produced 2 foam swords out of nowhere and began hitting me repeatedly while making grunting noises. So, all in that one, I mean, this whole thing is one sentence, but it's a lot of good detail. Okay. That's what we're going to start adding to our personal narrative. All right. So, he's getting beat up. He doesn't know what to do about it. I knew I had to find a way to stop them. We're on Who Wants a Snack? Who wants a snack? I asked with my eyebrows lifted in hopes that they would take the bait. Both boys ran to the cupboard as fast as they could. I saw them exchange a glance that could only mean that they were up to no good, but I didn't care. Finally, they weren't attacking me. The smaller boy reached behind the row of cracker boxes into what had to be their parents' hiding place and produced an enormous chocolate bar. Great imagery. I can totally picture that in my mind. This is what we always eat for a snack, the older boy said in a voice that was too quiet and peaceful to be trusted. The boys ate their chocolate, and I enjoyed 3 minutes of silence, gearing myself up for what was sure to be another attack. When their mom walked into the horrendous scene of both boys on top of me, swords in hand and chocolate smeared all over their faces, she just sighed. "Thanks, Peter. You're a lifesaver," she said. "You're welcome, but it might be better to have my mom come over next time," I mumbled as I politely waved goodbye and got out of the house as quickly as possible. As I got back home, I realized I had forgotten the $10, but there was no way I was going back there to get it. Super cute story. I hope you liked it. We can see all throughout where the author uses really good details to help us get an image of what's going on. Obviously, the scene is very chaotic. I can totally picture these 2 boys because I remember in college when I used to babysit, I remember having 2 little boys like that, and they were just balls of energy and fire. And I think the author did a really good job of describing those boys. So what I'm going to have you do, if we're on slide 19 now, we're just going to kind of pick apart this and kind of point out what the author did really, really well, okay? Using extra details. We already talked about this, that he said Lucky Charms and drank the sweetened milk. He didn't just say, I sat down and ate some cereal. That's not very interesting. Frankly, it's boring. So even just the little extra detail of saying what cereal and the sweetened milk, that simple detail really helps. It said, another example, at the bottom, it says, do you want to play Jenga or Connect 4? So he named the games. He didn't say you want to play a board game. He actually named out the games. Again, those little details do wonders. So let's work on making broad words more specific. So you will need your personal narrative digital notebook, and you can pause this while you go get it. And you will use this slide that says adding more details. So find that slide, and you will, you're going to type in some details for each of these 3 things: breakfast, cereal, and bug. I'm going to pause the video for a second while you get your materials. Okay, so you are going to go to slide 10 in your personal narrative digital notebook. And let's see. Adding more details. So we're going to do just a little example, okay? It's nothing that you have to go into your personal narrative for yet. But you are going to, when it's time, you are going to go to your personal narrative, and you're going to underline some nouns. Remember, a noun is a person, place, or thing nouns that need more help, more detail, okay? Just like they didn't put cereal, they put Lucky Charms, okay? So you're finding ways of making your nouns more detailed. So you need to type in the word detailed there. And I don't like that it's so light, so I'm going to make it bold. And I'm going to make it red. Okay. So you need to, you will underline your nouns that need more detail in your personal narrative. Now, let's do some examples. Breakfast. So if I said I sat down and ate breakfast. Okay, that's very generic and very general. What could I put that would be better than saying breakfast? I sat down to, how about steaming scrambled eggs? Okay. What about sizzling, sizzling bacon? Or I want 3 examples in each one. Steaming scrambled eggs, sizzling bacon. Let's go the other route. What if I did sit down and it was breakfast time? What else? How about piping hot oatmeal? Now, if you notice, I'm putting in adjectives. Adjectives are describing words. Okay, they describe nouns. So how did I describe the oatmeal? I described it as piping hot. How did I describe the bacon? Sizzling. And how did I describe the eggs? Steaming and scrambled. Okay, so it is very good to put in adjectives to beef up your nouns, okay, to make them more detailed. Let's look at cereal. And you can put my examples in from the video, or you can type in your own. Of course, I would love to see what you come up with, but you at least have to have 3. You have to have 3, okay? If you want to number them, you can do that, okay? 2 and 3. All right, so cereal. What could I say instead of saying cereal? Well, first of all, I'm going to put the one that we read in the text. I'm going to put Lucky Charms. That's one way of making it detailed. All right. How could I describe the cereal's temperature? I could say ice cold. 2 separate words. Ice cold milk. Or I could say ice cold milky cereal. That's very detailed. So that's 2. Again, you can copy these down if you want, or you can come up with your own. Again, I would prefer you come up with your own. So Lucky Charms, ice cold milky cereal. What's another way we can describe the cereal? Oh, what happens when you leave it sitting too long? You end up with mushy cereal. Okay, so again, just adding in adjectives at the beginning of these make them so much better. All right, so if we had the word bug, like if we were reading a story and it said, I saw a bug. All right, first of all, couldn't we say what type of bug it is? What could we say? We could say spider. We could say, what if we were going to call it an ant? Could we say a describing word in front of it? How about a reddish brown ant? Colors always are great for describing nouns. What about the sound of a bug? Could we describe a bug that we see based on its sound? How about a chirping cricket? Okay, so again, 3 examples, and the first one I just named what type of bug it was. The second one I named the color of the bug. Reddish brown, I think, should have a hyphen between it. And then third, I just added an adjective that told us the sound that the bug was making. So all of those truly help with making our writing so much better. So you can pause the video and put in these examples, or you can put in your own. But remember, you have to have 3 in each of those, and I will check through that. All right. After you have made your breakfast cereal and bug page complete in your digital notebook, I've put in some extra, or Miss O'Brien has helped with this, and she put in some extra strategies. If you want to click on the video, there's a cool pitchfork strategy that helps you to come up with words to describe. So I'm going to let you play that on your own. I'm going to skip slides 22, 23, and 24, 25, and 26, and I'm going to take you directly to the tasks so you know what your job is. For today, you're going to navigate back to your masterpiece. So you're going to go back into your notebook, scroll down into your personal narrative that we've been working on, and you are going to underline any nouns that you see in your story. Now, pause. If we underline every single noun in our story, you're going to be there all day. Now, I want you to underline at least 5 nouns that you think you can improve with more detail. Okay? 5. So, jersey, horse, spill, any noun, a person, place, or thing. Okay? My house. Those are all kind of boring nouns. How can you go back? You're going to underline them, and then you are going to go back and add in descriptive words to describe those nouns. Okay? So you are going to choose nouns that are really broad, like house, and you're going to make them more specific. The dingy, creepy house. Okay? Or maybe it's a mansion. Okay? Instead of saying house, you would say the immaculately landscaped mansion. Okay? So you're going to underline it so I can check it. Okay? And add to it. So when I come and check your paper, I'm going to look for those 5 underlines, and I'm going to look before it and after it and see if you beefed it up. It shouldn't still say house. It should say the white bricked mansion, or you could say the dingy, dark home of Nathan. I don't know. You're going to just find a way to make it more distinct, okay? Then, after you have done your 5 and you've underlined it, okay, you're going to go to my Jamboard. You're going to click on Hayden Jamboard, if it's going to let me. You're going to put one of your examples. So if you did house, and let's say you turned the word house into the immaculately landscaped mansion, you are going to put it on my Jamboard. Let me get rid of myself so I can show you that. Okay, so you will click on the sticky note to the left of the screen to add your response. Okay, so click on the sticky note to the left of the screen to add your response. All right, so your sticky note is here. You're going to click that. You can choose the color of your sticky note. I'm going to do orange. And you're going to put the one example from your story that you changed. So let's pretend that you had house in your story, but instead you are changing it to be more descriptive. First of all, put your name so I know who you are. And you're going to put, you can, talk it out to me. You can say, I changed house to, it would really help if I could spell, right, guys? All right. Becky, I changed house to the beautifully bricked Cape Cod home. Now, some of you are like, what in the heck is she talking about? Well, I'm calling it beautiful, aren't I? I'm calling it bricked, so it's made of brick. Cape Cod is a style of house, okay? It's a very traditional looking home. All right, so I changed the word house to the beautifully bricked Cape Cod home. Doesn't that sound just so much more detailed? And that's all I have to do today, guys. I have to save my sticky note, place it onto the Jamboard, and everybody's notes are going to be on here. Okay. You can move it and just kind of, I would just put it like around as much as possible. Okay. And try not to overlap somebody's. If you do overlap, just kind of make it to where I can still read it. Make sure your name is on it so I know who turned this in. And just tell me, what is one noun that you changed into a awesomely descriptive noun? Okay. Okay, so just to be clear, you have 3 assignments to do today. They're super short little assignments, but there are 3 things that you have to do. One is this Jamboard. So once you put your Post-it, you can check that off. I think that's the last one actually that you have to do. Your first one that you need to do is the adding more details, slide 10 in your personal narrative digital notebook. And again, you can use my examples that I put on here, or you can come up with your own. You have to have 3 per section, 3 for breakfast, 3 for cereal, 3 for bug. Okay, so that's the second thing that you have to do. It's actually first on the list. Then you have to scroll down to your masterpiece, which is your personal narrative. And you have to go in and find 5 things, 5 nouns, person, place, or thing, 5 nouns to make better. So you're going to add descriptive words and describing words to it to make those 5 nouns better. And remember, you have to underline them. Otherwise, I'm not going to see them, guys. So please, please, please underline them. And you have to have 5 of them. And then, of course, the last thing is your Post-it note on my Jamboard. And the link to the Jamboard is on slide number 27.